G4.
Yeah, now looking at Alpha is adding that new kind of volatile jungler. The issue I have is that he just plays the same champs as your River from past experiences. We mentioned he likes his junglers that are more focused on utility, like Gragas, etc., but has defaulted to the Graves, to the Nidalee, and has put on fairly solid carry performances on these champions.
Alright, seeing though now, getting rid of the Karma here. So again, just trying to get rid of some of those pocket picks that can now actually be flexed, it seemed, into Nova's draft, as we saw Rocky just played, and also G4 was playing the Karma originally at the start of summer. Meanwhile, though, we do see Bush getting his Wukong banned away.
This is a bit of an issue that we're going to see from Nova, and it will plague them later into playoffs, is the fact they have to deal with the fact that enemy teams do play Ornn, do play weak side top laners, while Rocky will never ever do that in the history of really anything. You can think about first picking Kalista, first picking Ezreal if you are Alpha here, just to deny it from Nova when the bot lane bans do start to come through just that little bit more. Or we could see Set, as you saw in the previous game, come through as a priority jungle pick.
It does look like, though, it is going to be the Nidalee getting locked in immediately for World 6, so they'll opt into that instead of trying to take something away. And for Nova, if they really wanted to, could just flex that Kalista, have that in their back pocket, and see where it wants to go, as they won't have to face that Ashe in the bot lane because it was banned out.
Yeah, Kalista does make Ornn's early lane a little bit suspect, and as well as that, just has good matchups into Renekton, the only real melee bully with a gap closer in Wukong taken out of the picture. Bush made a convincing case for himself with a signature Mordekaiser pick, but I doubt we'll see that now. Could just see Thresh locked in alongside Kalista, or, well, there's the other champion we kept throwing around as a potential name, and it was so good for Ryan in Game 1.
Yeah, the boss himself, going to get locked in, and Ryan was able to catch out a couple members time and time again back in their match up against Hong Kong Attitude, so we'll see whether or not he's able to replicate that success. And like we mentioned, having that flexibility still to kind of put that where they wish to. Did mention, though, that Thresh you maybe wanted to see get locked in with Kalista, instead going to go back over to Alpha.
Yeah, here you have to take either Aphelios or Ezreal, maybe Kaisa if you really want to, but definitely need to take an AD carry here for fear of them just being banned out in the next phase. I like this champion select a lot because they're locking in champions that we have name dropped. So yeah, excellent, nice, kind of looks smart. That being said, I did name drop like 6 AD carries, so it had to be one of them at least at the end of the day.
We would hope.
Yeah, we take those.
And interesting too here for Nova, if we're going to actually see a support or the AD carry get locked in, or if that Kalista is going to still be flexed. We still aren't sure, and then that might be a gamble that Nova are willing to take. But if the Ornn gets locked in, are we going to see Rocky playing Ornn? Are we actually going to see Rocky on a tank that's just sitting back in lane?
Wow. Okay, color me surprised. Could very well see G4 on it. So right now, highest priority champions left open are the, I guess, Leona for Pop. I think as well we have to consider Mordekaiser for Bush alongside that Renekton that was just banned out, and Orianna for G4. These are the biggest priority picks open left for the champions that need still locking in. So Bush's top lane pool of Mord plus Renekton, and then G4's Orianna plus Pop's Leona. Those are the scariest things available now.
All right. We also see now Renekton being banned out, so it does appear it is going to be the Ornn up in the top lane this time around here for Rocky. Pop not going to have his Nautilus, though, in response, as the support pool may be chipped down just a little bit, getting rid of the Bard earlier on, and maybe trying to get rid of one last hyper engage that could come out in the form of Pop like the Leona.
Yeah, still seeing a new face from Rocky now, despite having a bit of a shaky regular split when it came to actually bringing out some of the more utility-centric champions from his pool. Really pleasantly surprised to see it, and again, it was an issue that would have plagued this team heading into the best of series in playoffs, and honestly now, if there ever were a time to whack out the fact your top laner can play this different dynamic, the last day of regular season would be it.
Okay, so we're also going to have ourselves a Pantheon getting locked in, looking for some dive here on the side of Nova.
Yeah, it could very well be the support Pantheon, just applying constant kill pressure bot lane. Could be Flex mid, but I doubt it, and at this point I'm pretty happy with Kalista Pantheon and their early kill pressure into Thresh Aphelios.
There's C, though, for Chen9 or possibly Bush. Again, we got to see what the final pickup here is going to be for Alpha Esports. The Silas getting locked in, of course, can seal back that Call of the Forge God and use that for a re-engage on their behalf.
I like seeing the Silas into Ornn, of course, as just a counter pick, pretty standard at this point. But I do remember when Bush on the Ornn did just solo kill, slap down RZ when those two met in a mirror match earlier this split. So pretty happy to see that we are seeing that again, and that is a surprising champion.
All right, so we're going to get the Aurelia locked in. I'm interested to see whether or not this is going to be for Bush or Chen9. I think they're waiting to see what Nova are going to be bringing to the table. Be interested to see Rocky actually have to play into his Aurelia that he's actually been known for.
Syndra, Zoe, and Orianna now very, very scary to pick here into Aurelia, and that's why you now see G4 thinking about the Echo. Yeah, the reason why the Aurelia was picked here, despite having no Sejuani or no real innate synergy with anyone else on this team, is just because it denies all of the mid lane picks that G4 could have brought out here.
All right, still though, it does look like G4 will be having to go up against that in mid lane, or maybe they're still deciding on where they want to put that themselves, but get to see G4 back onto his Echo, a little bit more of an assassin, and every time he gets one of those item picks-ups, it's always feeling like a good spike. And this bot lane in particular now, we want to see that early aggression come out of Nova, especially when you get Kalista and Pantheon that are going to be looking to try and get some early kills.
Actually did think it would have been the set jungle Echo mid, but unfortunately for Alpha, it seems like there is a wrench thrown into the works here, or whatever bat kind of weapon the Echo is using. That being said though, let's actually analyze the comps themselves. With the Echo in the jungle, you are looking to farm up a little bit, get a couple of items under your belt before you start hard committing for some fights, and suddenly this team comp from Nova, despite having a super volatile bot lane, does just want to scale out pretty smoothly through the first couple of levels.
So maybe not going to be seeing too much action right away, but like you mentioned, getting those item spikes online, maybe that's when we start to see a little bit of the breakpoints. And then for Alpha, of course, you're running an Aphelios. What's your overall game plan if you're looking at this from their perspective?
So any team with Aphelios does want to kind of scale to 2-3 items and get to these later team fights. And I think that playing it into Kalista is pretty insane for you just because she doesn't have the range advantage that Ezreal has, and that does mean you can opt for some of the more crazier team fights later on. But that being said, I think the solo lanes need to really facilitate this Nidalee's early movements, and I think that if you let Echo fight the Nidalee on his own terms, it could spell doom for World 6 here. So need to watch for how Chen9 and Bush really facilitate the map movements of this Nidalee, because they did get counter picks in both of those lanes.
Yeah, and it also is going to be the first time that we get to see whether or not they're going to be able to exploit Rocky when he's on something a weak side, top side. Again, it is an Ornn, but those early levels can easily get exploited, and if they're able to get Prio, easy invade, and maybe try and slow down Ryan when he's trying to contest and try and scale up onto his first to 2 items.
Definitely could be the case here. Just need to look at how these two junglers square off against each other. Of course, both of them love to farm, but with the added amount of volatility in the solo lanes for Alpha and in the bot lane for this team from Nova, really going to be key to see just how this game plays out, because there's a lot of action going on, and I think the junglers will just be pulled around the map trying to save their disadvantaged lanes.
Well, on we go into our second tiebreaker of our final Sunday of action here in the regular season of Summer. Alpha and Nova looking to fight for the 5th seed when it comes to the playoff bracket. Winner will be facing Machi in the first round of play. We'll see whether or not that's going to be the case, if they want to try and go for that, or we'll see a little bit of action overall across the map. We load on into the Rift.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
got really quiet, and I was kind of concerned. Ah, don't worry. They're back in. They apparently just had a quick reconnect over there from the 2 members of Alpha before we got ourselves loaded in, at least on our end. And I do apologize. I think I said Vachi or something. Is that the cross between Vici Gaming and Machi? I don't know.
No, you said Machi fine. It was like you crossed versus and facing, and it was like vasing, and I was like, okay, floral arrangements, we out here. But yeah, Alpha, look at that mid-jungle synergy. They disconnect together, they reconnect together, this Smurf duo queue, even taking the connection by storm.
I would hope not. I hope not. I want them to actually be able to connect it onto the game.
Fair enough.
All right. World 6. Oh, hey. G4's just going to spot out a quick Nidalee. Going for the trap start over on the Raptors.
Yep, fairly standard at this point. Can solo those out, does let the laners get to lane sooner, and does mean that not only do you get the winning solo lane matchups in lane quicker, but you get the bot lane out of a fairly disadvantageous position where if you gave the push advantage to a Kalista Pantheon, there is no way in hell you are wrangling that back for yourselves pre-level 6.
Yeah, but speaking early levels, Kalista, Pantheon, you got a Hail of Blades coming out from Golden Feet, looking for those big, quick, bursty trades alongside that Ignite, looking for the kills early.
Yeah, quick Rend to the face. Pretty beautiful. Not a lot of counterplay there. Just going to poke out with Pop's Empowered Spear from the autos.
I don't know. Your son's actually able to get some decent damage back there, starting the Flay to keep his distance, so maybe that hyper-aggression coming out from Nova a little bit too soon, as they do only now just hit level 2.
Yeah, not too much the Pantheon can do against a double range bot lane level 1 with only the spear, but credit to Pop for trying that one out. I want to see Nova's bot lane pull the aggressive trigger again. They did so in the previous game, for better or for worse, but this time around they have a much better matchup and no Galio to worry about on the enemy team.
Yeah, they're not going to have a Galio flying on in to try and turn back a fight. Pop! They need to land a little bit of those spears actually onto Wei Lun. He hasn't really threatened at this point. We do see, though, both jungles toward the top side of the map, and actually Rocky getting the push in early onto Bush here. So maybe we'll see World 6 maybe journey way up.
Actually, just speaking about that jungle matchup, and because you mentioned the Kalista rocking Hail of Blades, I do want to touch on this Conqueror Nidalee versus Echo with Dark Harvest. Essentially, Ryan just playing the long haul here, just waiting to scale up, taking trades where he can, while World 6 going very skirmish heavy, going very all-in, kind of aggressive, does mean he needs to be as proactive as possible throughout this early game.
You do see a bunch of vision actually being laid down by Rocky immediately. We did see that blue buff was warded, so it kept him safe, so at least trying to deny one of the options here for World 6 early on.
Yeah, I definitely do need to look at this Nidalee as being the primary catalyst to a lot of her solo lane's aggression, because even if they have winning matchups, you do have to be super conscious of the fact that Ryan could be anywhere, and especially if his bot lane just wins organically, it does open up the Echo to have a lot of opportunities for playmaking around these solo lanes.
Interesting to see here, though. We saw Nova. They're putting a lot of respect down into this bot lane here. Meanwhile, Bush going for those early trades, starting to run a little bit out of mana. Does have teleport, though, if he wants to get back to the lane. As Rocky not slowing down here once he has vision put down.
Yeah, so Nova actually lost a little bit of footing in terms of the bot lane push because they rotated up to take the Scuttle Crab. Very well played by the Nova bot lane to actually do that, but it does mean that Ryan got no crab on the map, and it does mean the Echo is just falling behind ever so slightly.
You do see, though, Chen9 trying to do what he can to push in G4 right away, and you did mention that for World 6, he does need his solo lanes to get ahead, or at least try and get pressure down early, or else it makes his life very difficult to try and find a good gank flank, especially if he wants to get aggressive on Ryan. Yeah,
because you have the range constraints of the Alpha comp, it means the Nidalee doesn't get the luxury of just falling back into that kind of siege bot augmentation sustain kind of play later on. I think if Ryan is able to keep World 6 down early, the best the Nidalee can hope for is just maybe chucking a cursory heal out onto Wei Lun or Chen9 and buffing up the all-in potential of the Aurelia or the Aphelios later on.
You see their Pop pretty much on cooldown, throwing spears left and right, trying to get some damage. Wei Lun and your son are actually doing pretty well for themselves. in far as things go. Starting to find themselves a little bit down when it comes to CS, as it looks like the side of Nova are wanting to try and make a play here toward mid lane. Already see that early roam coming on over. Ryan's going to find himself a quick stun. G4 going to come on by. Facebreaker into the stun, and there you go. First blood going on over to Nova.
Very good rotation from the bot lane from Nova again. We saw it last game. We saw that Pop is unafraid to leave on these roaming supports. And guess what? You can't flash miss the Pantheon stun like he did with the Thresh hook. Instead, finding its mark here, setting up Nova for an early kill mid, and really just getting the Aurelia behind. Aurelia one behind, what does she do? Not a whole lot of anything. A fantastic start for Nova.
And that also bleeds into what we just mentioned about World 6, where he needs his solo lanes to do well. And even now, the bot side not looking all that great, as now Yersan has to get himself back over to safety. Echo Timewinder will not be able to do enough damage. Alpha looking to have a response. But it looks like Pop should be able to get himself back to safety. Graviton there. Ryan on the engage, able to find himself. There goes the Vanguard's Edge, though. G4 onto the back line. Got himself, again, that showstopper. In comes Call of Forge God from Rocky, though. And that's going to be still a double kill. Going back over to Chen 9. It is going to be trade 2 for 2.
Absolute bloodbath coming out there. Alpha delivers with the early game aggression, but it is Nova that lead it all. Kalista, Pantheon, they didn't recall yet. Golden Feet and Pop still go for that fight, still opt into the crazy skirmish, and it is Nova's bot lane that are the primary playmakers here. Yersan gets called out mid-rotation. Waylon gets a little bit too far forward, gets tagged by the Echo Stun, has to cleanse, just gets killed anyway by the Empowered Pantheon Spear plus Ignite combo.
Yeah, with that extra little bit of rend, it's pretty hard to avoid there, and at least we got to see Rocky also active immediately post level 6 with that teleport, able to help answer, and then they at least do trade 2 for 2.
Yeah, really concerning for Nova, though, is the fact that the Aurelia is now back on the board. Both of those kills going into Chen 9's pocket, and he did earn them. Stacked up the passive on the Aurelia, went crazy with the Qs, now has Bilgewater for sustain in this lane against the set, and can look for some crazier dueling skirmish opportunities should the need arise.
So kind of a win and a loss in some regards. You had that early shutdown that went over to Nova to try and get Chen 9 down. Able to pick up the pieces, though, and keep himself at least on track, and keeps that solo lane going so World 6 doesn't lose that pressure via the mid lane, and already see that, gets that push in, and looking for their first dragon.
Yeah, pretty clean Drake pickup from the side of Alpha here. You have to imagine Nidalee one of the faster early game takers, and with the bot lane to help, just going to help that even further. Do want to touch on some outer game lore we have here, by the way, Opal. Aurelia mid. Some bad memories for G4 here. Season 5 Worlds. Fakers, Olaf mid to counter it out. Just completely took this Thai mid laner for a bit of a ride.
But he's on the set this time.
True enough. He just did not exist in Season 5.
And he just sees the Aurelia. He's like, oh, it's just an Aurelia. He probably doesn't have bad thoughts when maybe he has bad thoughts when he plays Aurelia, right? That might be a possibility. Do see, though, Nova with G4. Already looked to maybe set her up for this Rift Herald early, as he's trying to get at least a push in and to assist Ryan on that take. Chen 9 at least trying to keep that out of tower range, but it will appear to be a Rift Herald confirmed for Nova.
Yeah, Nova trading back fairly admirably. The earlier rotation here from their solo lanes really helps cement the fact that this Echo still has a convincing objective take. Bush maybe fish for something, but nah, it's just vision at this point. Honestly, I think Alpha are happy trading that, as long as the gold doesn't get funneled too heavily into Golden Feet's pocket.
Bush, though, get himself in a little bit of an awkward situation. Ryan, unfortunately, does have his Chrono Break available. Pop comes on over, able to soak up the damage and prevent Ryan from getting taken down on the dive. And there you go. Bush gets taken out.
Pop just kind of there. The power of the global Pantheon ultimate really coming through. Spear from, I believe, halfway up mid lane at that point. Really gorgeous collapse onto Bush. As we said, all he was doing was checking for vision around the Herald. Why is that worth trading your life for? World 6, though, on a trade. It's a fairly tanky Rocky, though.
It's rocky, but still, that Nidalee can keep tabs of you if you're not careful. And even with that flash, unfortunately for Rocky, might get taken down here. One more pounce will do it. And World 6 able to get himself back to safety with the heal.
Yeah, pretty seamless Nidalee comboing coming through from World 6 there. Had my reservations about his actual trading potential because, come on, it's Ornn against double AP top and jungle. Does mean he can just stack magic resist towards that Abyssal Mask. In the end, though, not enough. Does mean that Rocky gets taken down, and suddenly World 6 is pretty damn devastating when it comes to playing this Nidalee early game.
Now, we haven't seen a whole lot of action from him just yet. Mainly they're reactionary instead of just jumping in immediately onto fights. Do see, though, Nova going to try and get down some vision, get some pressure back into World 6's jungle, and try and stall out this Nidalee.
Yeah, my boy Pop coming up, 100% kill participation on that Pantheon support. I love to see it. It's aggressive. It's this.
That's very aggressive coming out from G4, flashing on board with the Facebreaker. Does net World 6's flash as well, so does mean that Nidalee won't be able to get out of trouble anytime soon for the next couple of minutes.
I mean, that being said, Set needs his flash to engage, and with Drake up in 2 minutes, I'm not sure if that was entirely worth it. A random pick onto World 6 doesn't really materialize into anything, and here's the engage bot.
Can't be caught out there, but Ryan on that Echo parallel conversion will come down and in from the Fate's Call. It will do some damage, though that is going to be a 3-man grab ultimate coming out from Wei Lun. Needs to pop the Q, waiting on that cooldown. You can see the chase continues forward. Golden Feet gets tagged up, Vanguard's Edge, but G4 says come back here. Unfortunately, the Flawless Duet is able to find the kill, and Chen9 now fully stacked, ready to go. Looking to shred down G4, get the reset possibly. Not going to happen now, as World 6 was also looking for the kill back onto Ryan, as he's now chasing him back through the jungle. Ryan needs to get himself back to safety. Pop nearby. Looks like, though, it is just going to be a firm handshake. Maybe a little bit more if World 6 is not careful.
My favorite play there was kind of slapped on because it was really small and off to the side, but the Nidalee heal actually took the Thresh out of Pantheon Q execute range. That was sick, that was cool, and Alpha happy to thrive in the chaos that Nova did opt into. Chen9 with a tremendous cleanup. Blade now online for the Aurelia, and Nova, I love the aggression, I love the bloodthirstiness, but is it really the right moment in time?
Yeah, unfortunately there you saw they couldn't actually chain the stun, and like you mentioned, your son able to get out of execute range because of World 6, and again, this Tribush choke point has been devastating, especially when that Vanguard's Edge is available for Gen 9.
Yeah, clean pickup with that Flawless Duet as you called, and honestly, here's the fight again, Top.
Gen 9 though, 1v3, doesn't work out too well in his favor, and that's going to be Rift Herald popped by Nova as they try and break open the first tower of the game.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. Will be the top lane tier 1 falling. Not quite the mid lane tier 1
Pop.
level of devastating. Up.
Getting hyper aggressive, was able to get the slow on top of it. There you go. Pop finds himself the kill, and it is a global dive coming out here from Nova as they continue with the push.
Where was this Nova yesterday? Fantastic aggression coming through from the entire squad. Largely, literally spearheaded by this Pantheon support. A lot of aggression, a lot of trigger pulling, and a lot of turret plates now in pocket for Nova.
And there we are, as we'll take a look back here. It looks like it's just a teleport actually coming out from Chen 9 once he sees that Ryan shows himself, and a little bit, I'm going to assume, misexecution on both sides. Ah, okay, it was answered.
Yeah, double TP. Happy days. Chen 9, though, when he comes in to try and save his top laner, shut out completely. Rough.
Parallel convergence into a Facebreaker does a pretty good job chaining the CC down onto your key carry, and again, if they're able to continue to shut down that Aurelia and continue this pressure, especially via Pop, has been everywhere on the map.
Yeah, really, really good Pantheon support play. Does a ton of damage right now. Umbral Glaive in pocket does mean he sweeps out vision like no tomorrow. You face check into Echo, you face check into Set, and Nova's comp has so much engage combined with a decent amount of disengage that they're able to take fights pretty much just on their own terms exclusively.
And it kind of feels like here for Alpha, You're kind of waiting now on Wei Lun to get online. Chen 9, he is still in an okay situation, still up 30 CS over G4 and Blade Bork in pocket. And with himself on 3 kills, isn't falling behind. But if members keep getting caught out like this, your son gets that play back over to safety. But Cold Feet looking for the kill. Ren will come down. And there you go, a 2-man knockup also from Rocky as he came to join in on the fray, roaming up from the bot side of the map.
Yeah, support difference this game cannot be understated. Granted, Pop has 3 kills worth of gold funneled into his pocket, plus a lot of turret plates, but at the same time, just really, really rough for Yosan to actually play the game here. Nova, though, they are securing their second Herald, and Alpha may try to contest for better or for worse.
Well, World 6 wants to step forward. Unfortunately, there's G4 right next to him, and with that, too, it's the showstopper being available. Pop also thinking about Wei Lun. That's a very, very aggressive engage. Pop just puts up the shield, and that's going to be Moonlight Vigil down. Fate's Call used by Golden Feet just for the extra little bit of safety, as Alpha would be able to get rid of that, but Riftchild still went in favor of Nova.
Yeah, solid amount of safety here coming through from Nova. They could try for a re-engage, but don't really want to fish for it with Rocky not really in position to fight despite, you know, collapsing mid. And Nova happy to lick their wounds after securing a fairly crucial second Herald of the game.
So we'll see if they're going to be able to actually break open anything there, but still about a 3,000 gold lead for Nova. And just want to see consistent go, go, go coming out from this Thai squad alongside Ryan and Pop. Them themselves have had a very good game here so far. Ryan currently sitting on 100% kill presentation on that Echo, as well as starting to get into his next item spike after just finishing off his Protobell.
Definitely now looking at these item spikes that are starting to come through. Blade for the Aurelia quite a while ago, Blade for the Callista as well. These are the big single item spikes for both teams, but the longer you let Wei Lun scale, the more of a late game insurance policy this Alpha team does have.
There you go, though. Shelly gets that knockdown there. That's going to be that mid lane tower now broken open, and especially over the last 2 weeks, we've emphasized, especially with how the meta has gone, how important that mid-map control can be, and especially for Nova, like you mentioned, that have something like a glaive onto this Pantheon clearing out vision. It gets really risky for Alpha on rotations.
Yeah, Alpha now just have to be super conscious of the fact that while they do have the edge in terms of Drakes, Baron power plays are a different question altogether, and it does mean that Golden Feet, if the Callista can rack up some spears, will help augment his jungler's smite. Looking at Alpha's opportunities here, they need to find a flank, they need to find a good split kind of fight, and pick off a single target. Oh, okay.
We saw Nova,
Close.
they had the right idea. Unfortunately, they were just about 5 seconds behind where they needed to. Does mean, though, with 3 members down toward the bot side of the map, this should be also the first tier tower in bot lane being taken.
You actually see World 6 and Yosan both shadowing Chen 9's solo take of this tower top, trying to convert something onto G4 here, but he's set. He's reading it pretty well, saying, look, I'll seed some farm topside while my team takes prio mid, takes prio bot, takes a tower bot, and we can just use all of that priority to rotate for a quick mountain Drake secure.
Yeah, because that's the one thing here for Nova that we'd like to see is them actually start to stall out that mountain soul that could be started to be built upon here by Alpha as G4 gets a nice ward down, realizing, all right, there's 2 members on the other side of that wall, just keeping himself nice and safe and not getting caught out. This has been a bit of a change-up we've seen from Nova, because oftentimes side lanes, if they get pushed in, a lot of the time Rocky and G4 fall victim to not having ward coverage.
Absolutely that, and honestly we're looking at a Nova team that are having full control of this vision, whether it's because that Umbral Glaive came through early, or if it's just because they are starting to pick up the pace in that regard. I'm looking at this Nova squad though, and I'm looking at the Callista, the set, and I guess the Pantheon too, as just being very early to mid-game focused. It means they're about as strong now as they will ever be, so you need to see Nova continue to apply pressure. Much like last game when they ended at the 30-minute mark, they need to keep running with this momentum, otherwise Alpha could find themselves getting back into the game, albeit a little bit slowly.
And that's kind of the thing. It gets scary when you think about what could possibly be online for Alpha the later this game goes, in the form of that Aurelia, as well as Wei Lun on the Aphelios. Both known, hey, later the game goes, the happier they get, but you do see Nova trying to get a little bit aggressive here. You got Ryan fishing with the parallel convergence, coming on over toward the side, and getting a decent amount of damage, and forcing out the exhaust from your San, so not going to have that available for an ensuing fight.
No, definitely not, and that does mean that we now have Nova with a little bit of an edge here, because they can pull the trigger on an engage, they can find their way into the enemy backline, and once you kill either the Aurelia or the Aphelios, suddenly this comp just has one single threat that you can absolutely deal with. Alpha, though, as long as they keep Chen 9 in the front line and Wei Lun in the back line, they have this dual threat, and they do have at least something going for them.
Bit now, though, of a reset from both squads. Nova want to try and get some positioning over toward the top side of the map. G4 clearing out the only ward for Alpha past the river line. And you see there, World 6 just trying to get a little bit of a poke down onto Ryan, but still got to be careful as Pop is also nearby, just happy throwing back spears.
Yep, Blitz End in inventory for Chen 9 now. Runans for Wei Lun. Alpha slowly clawing their way back into their 2-item spike, and slowly getting back into this game in terms of relevancy. Nova, they can't let the pressure drop now. They can't take their foot off of the pedal, and they need to continue to push aggressively for vision, for objectives, for shutting Alpha out of this game.
Yeah, because now what? You have Golden Feet online with his Runans. This is now prime opportunity for Callista to go and take some fights, but we are starting to see, again, Nova maybe hoping that Alpha themselves will be the ones to overstep their bounds when they themselves have that ability to just go for the dives with a Fate's Call, with a Pantheon ultimate, as well as Ryan when he has Chrono Break available.
Yeah, G4 on the set does kind of depend on a flank. Echo as well with Parallel Convergence, again, depends on a flank. And you're looking at Pop plus Rocky to be the primary hard engages of this Nova team. Watch the Pantheon, watch if the Ornn decides to join from the side lane, and then that'll be the fight.
There you go. Follow the Forge God. In goes Pop. Hyper aggressive looking for that dive, but nothing lands. Vanguard's edge onto 4 members. And now, guess who's on the flank? It's going to be a call to Forge God going right down the lane as G4 gets taken on down. A beautiful flank coming out from Bush. Will he be able to survive, though, is the question. It appears not, as Golden Feet able to answer one back. But Chen 9 on fire with the stacks. Blade surging forward. Flawless duet not going to land. Only onto Rocky. Gets the mark. Ryan forced to go back into his ultimate. But Alpha able to hang on and answer back to the dive of Nova.
And Aurelia at this point with full passive stacks, one-shots cast creeps with her Q. It means she can chase. It means she's really difficult to peel off of you. And when you hard commit for an engage like that, did they want the tier 2? Did they want to kill? Feels like Nova just really mixed communication here that led to them being flanked by the solo lane dual threat of Alpha. Beautiful Vanguard's edge. 5 people tagged. G4 sacrificing himself to keep Chen 9 out. And it's a 1-for-1 with Nova being routed and Nova having to cede some of that beautiful vision control they'd maintained up until now.
And there you go. You start to see a little bit of life back in from Alpha, like you mentioned. If they are able to disengage and then find something like Bush getting that ultimate, or like we mentioned, Vanguard's Edge for another attempt at a team fight, when cooldowns are down on the side of Nova, it gets rather dangerous, especially like you mentioned, coming online with these items now for Chen 9 and now working toward his third.
Now looking at this Aurelia, just build up some more momentum for herself, can confidently split push against anyone, though of course whacking away at an Ornn doesn't really feel too good for anyone at this point. And Alpha, they have Wei Lun in a solid position, probably couldn't afford more than one crit cloak on this base, so couldn't purchase that this time. Just got his last Whisper in inventory, so actually does do a hefty chunk of damage into these solo lane tanks on the side of Nova.
Yeah, when you take a look into both Rocky and G4's builds, it's all armor coming out from them, so need to be able to cut through back on the side of Wei Lun. Dragon is live, and Teleport going to be coming out here from G4. Meanwhile, Vanguard's Edge, Golden Feet, he gets caught out, and that is never a person we get to see get caught out on the side of Nova. And it looks like a bit of miscommunication as Chen 9 finds his opportunity to take down the carry of Nova.
tremendous credit to this Aurelia from Chen9 finding the way into that, finding the assassination onto a guy that has been so difficult to assassinate for Nova, and because of that pick, Alpha have full priority around the Drake and should be able to secure this objective. Third Drake of the game for Alpha here, fourth gonna be lined up in 5 minutes, and suddenly this game not quite as free a win for Nova as it may be. Look, Golden Feet on his own because his team get a little bit greedy fishing for a flank.
And there you are. One catch can end up costing you so much, and with that too, now Alpha look at Mountain Soul. On to the next Dragon attempt. And that forces now Nova to have to try and make a risky play here. They decide, all right, let's go ahead. Let's try and take this Baron, but Callista's nowhere nearby. They're hoping that someone on Alpha's side will try and at least answer at the very least. Yursan and World 6 coming into the river entrance alongside Bush. Rocky going to act as that main wall, but still, Baron up to about 600 health. And there it is. Rocky gets interrupted on the call of Forge God. Now going to get answered by Bush himself. Finds the knockup onto Ryan. And again, Nova are separated on the fight. A 3-man knockup though, with the Fates call from Pop. In comes the Haymaker. Damage alongside Rocky. Getting the shutdown on Wei Lun. And the bot lane of Alpha are taken off the map.
Huge re-engage from the bot lane of Nova there to secure the death of the bot lane of Alpha. Beautiful Callista, beautiful Pantheon, and the re-engage potential is still here. Still got the Pantheon ult, still got Pop looking for it.
And there goes Pop. Chen9 could not interrupt the channel in time. World 6 has to flash himself back to safety. Still gets tagged by the stun. But you can tell that Nova may be getting a little hesitant now to actually go for this Baron, considering the health bars of the majority of your front line are down past half health.
Mission accomplished for the 3-man survival unit of Alpha there. They get the disengage, they get the stop on that Baron power play, and even if Pop was dangerously close to finding backline access, a tidy flash out from the Nidalee really saves Alpha's bacon. Here's the re-engage, here's the attempted play, here's the 5v5 into a huge 3-man Fates call, and here's Pop smurfing on this Pantheon.
Still, though, you could see the team, unfortunately, wanted to really force down this Baron, and that still did give opportunities over to Alpha, considering you have World 6 on this Nidalee that can keep getting spears and forcing G4 like there to really get caught out. Unfortunately, Pop also going very far to try and get that kill. It just doesn't end up happening. Meanwhile, though, back in mid lane, Chen9, Vanguard's edge onto 2 members trying to respawn, and again, Wei Lun gets himself the Moonlight Visual, but still not enough damage to finish off the carries of Nova.
And I do feel a little bit bad for Wei Lun here because he's relatively big. The issue being, of course, that there's no commitment possible from the Aphelios here because you open yourself up to get just locked down by the Pantheon, autoed by Callista, or the triple melee topside are just going to dive on you. Really difficult for the AD carry of Alpha to navigate these fights, and that's why you see him a little bit hesitant to join as Nova do start up this Baron.
Baron started up again, Rocky on that front side. Again, Nova, though, they disengage and just say, all right, we want to try and pull the trigger, and they catch out Chen9. No Irelia on the flank. This might finally be the opportunity for Nova, but you can tell this team is hesitant. It's just a choke point for World 6 to keep throwing spears, and at some point, you have to pull the trigger. Wei Lun gets caught out, and Rocky and Pop find their stuns. G4 with a face breaker brings them back with a showstopper, and Yursan gonna get taken down once more. Nova now find 3 kills. Again, back toward the Baron. Pop, though, going down low, will get taken on down, and it's a messy fight left and back. It's up to World 6, it's up to Bush to try and find their way back into this fight. Baron up to 5,000 health, turning back over toward Bush. They still can't take him down. He has his own chrono break, and now G4 could be left in trouble, down to barely any health. Ryan goes down low, and Nova still cannot finish off the damn Baron.
And the identity of Alpha is a Smurf mid-jungle duo, and yet it is the top jungle duo that do carry that fight. The attempted Baron take again from Nova just stopped right in its tracks. Alpha send Chen9 by himself trying to get a flank on the Aurelia. He gets picked. It looks like a good fight, but Nidalee Pope, Aphelios threat, Thresh hook potential. It is Bush who makes the hero play for Alpha, though, stopping this take and really just hammering home that Alpha are more than just their mid laner here.
And for Nova, it's again one of these situations where the team, it's just decide what you want to do here. Do you want a Baron or do you want to just find kills? And now you're now put into a spot where for Alpha, there is still the opportunity for them to get a Mountain Soul because they weren't able to get pressure, they weren't able to stagger the backs, and now a good reset with Cryo mid allows Alpha into the river.
Yeah, Alpha on Soul Point here could claim that for themselves, could also find themselves pushed out of this pit if Nova get the setup. Nova fishing for a flank, fishing for an engage, can't let Nidalee poke, can't let Aurelia find backline access. They need to decide to do something, and they need to do it now.
All the Forge God comes out from Bush, only going to get a little bit of damage, but Chen 9, he catches out Pop, and that is Aurelia that's on fire. They're able to prevent the Soul from going over to Alpha. Engage comes out from G4, but guess what? Without your frontline access with the form of Pop, at least trying to interrupt, G4 brings out the Haymaker, but he gets taken down, and Nova lose 2.
Quick Mountain Soul secure for Nova, but they lose so much from it. Could very well lose the Baron on top of that. And Alpha now in a very strong position to make a convincing case for this Baron Nashor. First of the game, 5th attempt from either team, and yet we could finally see that one go down.
And you see Ryan's the one that wants to try and make a steal happen, has a decent amount of burst damage himself, but is going up against the Nidalee, and this Baron gets taken down so fast at this point. Ryan trying to find an entrance over toward the side. He gets caught out, though, immediately by Chen 9, and you can tell now World 6 left alone into the pit. In comes Golden Feet, as well as Rocky. Pop joins on in. Baron, though, secured by Alpha, and Nova need to end this fight really quick, or they could lose out on everything. World 6 able to get himself back to safety. Golden Feet takes down Wei Lun. It'll be a trade. 3 members for 1. Make it 2. But Chen 9 on the Vanguard's edge. Able to turn it back. But Ryan's on the hunt. And they wanted to eliminate every single Baron buff. Yursan gets himself over to the wall to safety. But it's the ace for Nova Esports.
A triple kill for the Echo, who was kept out of that pit. The Aurelia zones out Ryan, but Ryan comes back in. Nova, they lose the Baron, but Nova, they could take a top lane inhib here.
And there you go, push comes to shove. Nova are finally able to find it. They do lose out on the Baron buff, but Alpha don't get one in response. And like you mentioned now, Inhibitor in top lane going to leave Alpha's base scarred for the next 5 minutes.
And this Baron has been cursed so far this game. Teams just throwing left and right around it. It does finally go down, but it was a nail biter here. Look how low it got. Look how split this fight was. Look how corralled Alpha were into this choke point. Wei Lun, for all intents and purposes, should have just 1v9 that fight on the Aphelios, but he's not 4, 5, 6 items. He's just scaling at this point. And Chen 9 almost makes the hero play, almost makes it worth it, but Ryan was so good there. Yes, he missed the smite. Yes, he had to chrono break early, but he chases down his prey and puts Nova back on the board.
And with that too, you're going to have pressure always seeping in onto the top side of the map, and with the next dragon spawn in 2 minutes, Nova can once again deny Mountain Soul Point. But it comes into the issue of the fact that we mentioned for Nova. We wanted to see them try and end this game about 3 minutes ago if they had a lead. The longer this game goes, it still allows Alpha more time to scale.
Definitely does afford Alpha a little bit of relief there. They have a strong late game. They have Silas as a carry. They have Nidalee just kind of doing her own thing at this point. No Grail in pocket for that one. Just saying, look, all right, I'm playing for myself this game. I am a secondary carry threat. Let's do this. And then Chen 9, if he can find his way in, can just 1v9. The issue being that Nova been very, very good in their responses so far this game.
All Forge God going to come out over toward the side. They get themselves a knock up in the stun, and GA immediately popped as Chen 9 now gets himself back to safety with the Lantern, but has no way of now diving without getting a resurrection.
Yeah, disgusting CC chain there coming through from Nova there. They layer it, they knock down the GA, and Chen 9. The next death of this mid laner for Alpha could be their doom if Nova can pull this one off.
Nova, though, realizing, all right, this is the time. We got to make it happen. We have ourselves the advantage when it comes to items. You see the ornaments online for multiple carries. Rabadon's completed for Ryan. This Echo is able to burst down targets of Alpha efficiently, and top lane starting to seep in super minions.
Yeah, once that wave crashes, once you sync that up, you can just apply more pressure bot lane. You can siege this inhib, Chen9 is top, and that does mean that Nova have the playmaking potential to fish for a fight, to fish for this objective, and then fish for a nice reset around that next Drake.
So ping's coming out, like you mentioned. Next Dragon going to be spawning in about 30 seconds on the side of Nova, as they'll be waiting for that spawn here shortly. As they get themselves some vision, maybe even catch out Alpha if Chen9 gets himself too close to the action. Flawless duet, able to find the stun immediately onto Rocky, gets that stone plate pop, but you see that damage coming out from Ryan, has to chrono back immediately, and now a re-engage. Coming back, Chen9 onto the back line. That's a massive Aphelios ultimate, and Waylon finds multiple members of Nova, but they need to finish off the fight. Bush able to shred it apart, and my lord, Nova just throw the game away on a silver platter off Wei Lun, able to find his target with the quadra kill from the Taipei rookie.
And the Aphelios finally gets on the board. It took him 36 minutes, but he gets his first 4 kills. 4 kills from that quadra kill, 4 kills from that team fight, and 1 very dead Nexus if Alpha keep up this push.
And what a way to throw. Nova were in prime position to take down this victory. Unfortunately, picture in picture, you can see the minions there, but it don't matter. There's no one to push, and just like that, Alpha turn the game on its head and are able to take back 5th place in the PCS.
Commanding early game coming through from Nova there, and yet it is Alpha who weather that storm. The late game win conditions of the Aphelios plus the Aurelia come through. And honestly, the fact they managed to hold on that long, partially because they played it well enough, but also, what was the Baron? What was the dance around not really committing to that objective? Just half commitment, time and time again from Nova. Really frustrating to watch, and they umming and ahhing enough to the point where Alpha could just close that one out.
I can hear behind me in the next room the screams and wails of the Thai casters as they now watch that last team fight. And their pain I can personally feel, because my lord, Nova, that should have been the easiest closeout of a game, but then you funneled into a choke point, you took a fight with cooldowns down, and you know what, you can say 200 years of Aphelios, that was a prime position for Aphelios to succeed, and Nova gave it to Alpha.
To be fair, had Alpha not just rolled over and died versus Resurgence yesterday, this would have been the same standings result anyway, so it's not a tremendous loss, but it does mean that we now see Nova slotting into 6th place and Alpha claiming 5th themselves.
Oh boy. Wow. I was getting so excited. I was like, yeah, you know what, Nova? You're gonna prove G4 right. You're gonna be in the top half of our standings. Give some hope to the Thai audience. And just like that, this fight, all those hopes, all the aspirations just go down the drain.
Seriously, Ryan and Pop smurfed this early game, but the late game was so gorgeous. Everyone just clumps up. Everyone is just being AoE'd down by Flamethrower. Well, not Flamethrower, actually. Just the Runans at this point. Wow. Crescendum. It's all good stuff. There's the Flamethrower for the single target damage at the end of that. I don't know how I feel about that one, but hey, we take those. Chen9, the only early game member of Alpha, it felt like, but hey, we get that too.
You know what? At least if Chen9 didn't actually fight back in a lot of these fights and get some kills back, I feel like Nova may have actually had the opportunity to end this game a lot sooner and not give much room over to Wei Lun to actually scale back up. So credit over to Chen9 with his kills and trades. Were usually able to help extend the length of this game so his team could come online.
Actually was pleasantly surprised with how World 6 navigated that early game as well. Very, very promising play from the Nidalee while the rest of the map kind of floundered around him and kind of fell apart. But that being said, yeah, just tremendous victory for Alpha there. 5th place, fantastic for them. Not quite cracking into the Big Four, of course, but can still take some of the slower paced teams by storm.
Yeah, so with that, Alpha are now going to be situated into that first matchup with Machi Esports. And then checking my notes on here, we're going to have Nova taking on the loser of our next tiebreaker in the form of PSG taking on AHQ.
Neither of those seem particularly appealing, do they? But
Not
honestly,
really.
I think as of recent, and if Ziv starts for all of playoffs, which is actually fairly daunting, especially if he does still have wrist issues, because our playoffs have the potential to be just as long as regular season. Yeah,
大家
definitely
好，
do
我
have a
是
lot to
阿尔法
look
辅
at.
助 Eurosen。
Let's go ahead and
那
take
其
a
实
quick
Nova 反
interview
比
with
起
Patty
算是
alongside
错
your
位到了
son.
极致啊！你们最后有猜到 Nova 他们的线路配置吗？
So in this game, Nova utilized the flex pick strategy to the extreme. Were you guys able to guess where all the champions are going to go during the ban pick phase?
哦，其实我们多少有那个料到 Nova 他们是会使出这个摇摆位的战术，但是没有想到就是他们一次就是用4个摇摆位这样子。对，但是我们就是打好我们自己的，然后表现我们就是原本的那个团练的，就是对样子。
So we actually kind of guessed that they're going to use flex pick strategy, but we didn't know that they're going to use 4 champions to do that. So our strategy is just to play off our own, play well on our own, and play off what we did in our scrims.
OK， 那你们在加赛获胜之后呢？目前是确定会以第5名晋级到季后赛嘛？那你们第一轮的对手将会遇到 Magi， 你们已经准备好策略去应付他们了吗？
So now you win the tiebreaker, you're getting into the playoffs as the 5th team. You're going to be facing out with Maji Esports in the first round. So do you guys already have a strategy plan?
我们有准备好几套那个阵容，然后跟战术要面对那个马吉，对，然后就是也不敢说我们一定怎么样，但是我们会尽最大的表现，然后跟努力去看看能不能赢马吉。
So we did prepare some strategies and some team comm to face up against Maji, but we can't really tell how well we're going to do. We're just going to try our best to win Maji.
OK， 那当然也恭喜你们拿下了胜利，也感谢翻译，也谢谢2神接受我们的访问。
Well, again, a bit of confidence coming out there from Alpha, and like the commentators over on the Taipei stream mentioned, they will be going up against Machi Esports as we take a look at what our bracket now looks for playoffs. Machi versus Alpha in that first round, and then Nova will be waiting, of course, for our result of our upcoming tiebreaker after a break. But for now, we're going to go ahead and take that break. When we come back, it's Digital and take it on HQ for our very final game of the summer regular season.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. we're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.